Hey guys, I'll be going over my top 10 loadouts for this season. I did not do any preparation for this video. Also, these loadouts are not in any order and don't really pay attention to the kill streaks because to be honest with you guys, I don't really adjust my kill streaks. I'm just too lazy. So I just kind of use whatever kill streaks that I have on the class. I should change them, but I'm too lazy. But again, in no particular order. Actually, it's 11 loadouts because we have the extra one. The AMAX. The AMAX is pretty decent. If the AMAX had 50 bullets in its mag, it would be a top 3 weapon that I would use because I like weapons that have a lot of bullets in the clip. I always use an extended mags on every single weapon, no matter what. So here's what I'm using. Also, I use a red dot sight too on most weapons. It's kind of like I kind of have to get a feel for the weapon first. That's kind of how I judge it. Like, for example, when I'm using the KM44, which I really never use, you won't see it in this video. But if I do use that weapon, and when I do use it, I don't use a red dot sight. So it depends. But here is my AMAX loadout. Try it out. Good, decent. I said in my last video, but I don't use Sync ADS FOV anymore. So because of that, I strafe a lot more now. I get more movement speed without that setting. So I don't really use strike stock anymore. I replaced it with granulated grip tape. Number 2, I should say US 736. To me, this is a top 2 weapon in the game. I would say this is the second best weapon in the game after another weapon that's coming up in a bit. It kills 3 to 4 shots. It's kind of broken in my opinion. I don't know why this is not used more. This is really, really good. I think this loadout right here is really all you need. You can, if you want more recoil control, you can take off steady stock, or not take off steady stock, take off disable and put on operator foregrip or ranger foregrip for the ADS bullet spread accuracy. But to be honest, this loadout right here is decent. Kills are super quick. You don't even need to have this legendary variant. Any regular variant of the US 736 is good. So I think this weapon's underrated. I see people having it at like 7th or 8th best. I think it's the second best weapon in the game. Okay, the Crick 6 is decent. It's decent. It's not as good as some of the other ARs, but it's a top 5 AR in the game. Here's what I use on it. I think you should be using Task Force Barrel because it kind of gives you that, the bullet speed, and it gives you the damage range. Now you can try to build this out like the Krieg used to be before it got nerfed. For longer ranges with a marksman barrel, this is how Tectonic, the pro player for Luminosity Gaming, he would build it out with the marksman. But they nerfed it, so Krieg is really only useful as a hybrid AR. It's not really meant for sitting back. Although I've tried sitting back with the Krieg, and it's really good. So you can work it that way if you do want to sit back. But you're not going to win those gunfights versus like a Growl or an LK24 or a DRH. So it's best to use this as a hybrid with some strafing, right? So going on, LK24, really, really good weapon. As I said, I like my red dot sight, and you're going to notice a similar pattern on all my weapons pretty much. I have a suppressor. I have a weapon that gives me range and recoil control, which is the marksman. I have a red dot sight, extended mags, and a granulated grip tape. Now, this is what I use on a lot of my longer range ARs. It just works well for me. I love it. Because I started using no sync ADS FOV, as I said earlier, I really want to have that strafe. So you're going to see Skulker on every single weapon. Next, we have the Growl. The Growl is the best weapon in the game. I'm going to buy the Mythic when it comes out. I love the weapon. And I love it because, one, not because it's meta. I love it because of the accuracy. As I've said 4 years straight, I love accuracy. That is what I do. I like weapons that are accurate. This weapon doesn't have much recoil. Pretty much everyone's rocking this gunsmith. I used to use the steady stock, or they call it the blackjack, but you don't need that. Granulated grip tape is really good. Nothing more to say about the best weapon in the game. AS Val, I recently threw this on. I've been trying to get into the AS Val. Trying to, guys. To me, it runs out of bullets way too quick. This is kind of like with the AMAX. If this had more bullets, it'd probably be broken. If this had 50 mags, it'd be broken. But the recoil is not the best, but It's a decent weapon. If you're playing like a close range, I think I used it on a close range map, and I did pretty well with it. So it kind of depends. I wouldn't recommend this for longer range maps like a crossfire, unless you're going to be holding angles, short angles, right? Not like long, but short angles, headies maybe. M13 is pretty decent. Now, recently I was not using the operator foregrip. I was using sleight of hand, but I do want that extra recoil control. And operator doesn't reduce any movement speed, so probably does in the grand scheme of things. But as far as the stats go, which stats aren't always right, we know that. It doesn't reduce any movement speed, so I still get that strafing ability with the M13. Still get that good ADS time, while also having some recoil control. So M13 is pretty decent. I used it yesterday for a few games, and I was doing pretty well with it. Pretty well. On slums, for example. I did it really good on slums. ASM-10, now I may have already said this, but for another weapon. But this weapon is the most underrated weapon in the game. This weapon is so damn good. I have no idea why people aren't using this. I love the ASM-10. For me, the range is not great without attachments, so you really want to increase your 4-shot capacity. I have no idea why this is not the most used weapon in the game. It's perfect to me. I love it. Now, I've seen it. I used a lot in pros. The pros are going to use the Branson barrel, which is going to give you faster time to kill up close, but it does have a pretty awful recoil. It messes up your recoil. I'm not a rusher, as you guys know, so I don't really care about the time to kill with a Branson barrel within 5 meters. I'm thinking about holding angles, right? So that is why I don't use that, and I use the mono suppressor. Such a good weapon. Such a good weapon. Nothing bad to say about the ASM-10. Kilo, same as always, handy dandy Kilo. Now before, when I was using Sync ADS FOV, I didn't have to throw on a whole bunch of recoil attachments, but now that I took that setting off and my guns have more recoil or visual recoil, I kind of have to max out on recoil. So that's kind of why, or recoil control I should say, that's why I have the rubberized grip tape. This is a really good loadout. No downsides. Good strafe speed. I do pretty well with this loadout. It's pretty decent. Because the killer has a lot of recoil, you're not going to beam SKS at longer ranges like you would with a growl, for example. It's just not going to happen. Number 9, ICR. Now, it's kind of funny. My first ranked game of this season, I died to a guy with the ICR like 3 times. I'm like, this ICR looks pretty good. So I've been using the ICR, on and off for 4 years, but really since yesterday. Really good. Same type of loadout as all my classes. Suppressor. You have a range booster and a recoil control attachment. You have the red dot sight, the extended mag, and the granite grip tape. These are my go-to bread and butter attachments. And this is what a lot of pro players use, like Tectonic, when they play longer range maps, for example. Right? Not for rushing. CICR is underrated as well. And last but not least, the CBR. Now, I got to be honest, I don't even think I've used the CBR in ranked in like 6 months to a year. But it is really, really good. I built it out like an AR because that's just what I like to do. I like to build my SMGs into ARs because I'm an AR player. But this weapon is really good. It's not as used as the Switchblade or even the Striker, or I think it's Striker. Yeah, Striker. But it is really, really good. Or KSP. I don't even know. Some of the pros are using that 22 mag or 12 round mag. And I think that's the Striker. But that is the video, guys. Hopefully you can try these loadouts out. Remember, a suppressor, have a recoil, and a long range attachment, right? Like the marksman barrel. And then you're going to have your red dot sight, your granulated grip tape, and your extended mag. Now, if you don't need a red dot sight, and you're better than I am because I need a red dot sight, you can put whatever you want. I wouldn't reduce my strafe speed by adding a strike stock, so I would say sleight of hand is pretty good. You can use FMJ, and I don't use the OWC laser. I used to use the laser a year ago, but I really don't like being seen on the map, personal preference. So yeah, red dot sight, you can swap that out if you hate it for, let's see, yeah, really FMJ. your sleight of hand or your two go-to attachments I would use, because you don't really need the extra recoil control with a Ranger foregrip because it's going to mess up your straight speed. But that's the video, guys. Thanks for supporting me. I know this was a long video, but I want to drop my 11 loadouts that I use and why I use them, what's the purpose of them.